Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome to 5 and 9 in a one-stop co-op shop, where I go over 5 things you need to know about a game in about 9 minutes or less, something like that. Today, I am taking a look at Masters of the Universe, the board game Clash for Eternia, aka the He-Man game from CMON. This one is a one versus many style game with solo and cooperative play for 1 to 5 players, in which you're playing all the familiar characters: He-Man, Skeletor, Evelyn, Orko. If you're familiar with the 80s cartoon as I am, or some of its various reboots, you'll recognize many of them. This is not an ongoing campaign style game. Rather, you're going to get a scenario based experience in which you're going to be fighting each other out in the Great Plains or pursuing objectives, capture the flag style. Different scenarios are available to you in this one. Where does it compare? Where does it stack up relative to other games that are similar in the space? And is there fun for those of us who enjoy the original IP? Let's get to it. Disclaimer, I did receive the all-in gameplay package as a review copy of this game. My number 5 is the character variety that is available in He-Man. In the base game, I'm going to lean towards a pro. As we get into the expansions, it gets into con territory, so a mix as an overall assessment. So in the base game, you got your He-Mans and your Skeletors and your familiar cast of characters, your Orko, Man-at-Arms, Teela, etc. So different paradigms emerge. He-Man tanks, Orko casts his magic, some crazy stuff happens, not quite a dolphin appearing in the sky like in the cartoon, but what are you going to do? He-Man, Man-at-Arms is ranged, Teela summons some helpers, etc. The Skeletor crew has similar but different effects. Skeletor kind of manipulates others on the field. Merman bursts out of water. Enough variety to sustain multiple plays of interest in the basic box. Once we get into the expansions, it's running into a similar problem as the cartoon did, where you have all these characters. Are they really that different? So just as an example, this is from the Horde expansion. We have a character that, let's see, enemies wounded by the attack become dazed. Look at that. When enemy becomes dazed by that attack. Leech. Enemies wounded by this attack lose an energy. If they cannot, they become dazed. So the game doesn't do a lot. You push, you pull, you heal, you attack, and you also inflict the one status effect, which is daze. So is that enough robustness in the system to accommodate 5 or 6 characters? Probably. To accommodate 20 characters? Gonna question that. One special note when it comes to the expansion, the one I was most excited about was the attack on Castle Grayskull, because it's Castle Grayskull. And in the one versus many, this is actually super cool. So, we have the defenders and you have your attackers tower defense style, and the attackers can use ladders and tunnels to get through. The defenders have access to guns and flags, and the attacker gets there, they can break the bridge, open up that jaw bridge, which is totally nostalgia, so fantastic. And yet, when you play with this game in the AI rules, here's that sentence: attacker, defender, and castle part cards are not used. You get rid of all this stuff and it just becomes a big melee. Ugh. As someone into solo and co-op, it did break my heart. My number 4 is also a mix. It is the bot activations that enables the solo and co-op. So on the pro side, it just works. You have 2 decks. This is the main deck, and the bot will be controlling different characters. So when that character's turn is up, you flip a card, usually some kind of like attack and advance, pretty simple to run. There's also the strategy activation deck, which will occasionally proc up when you want to control the minions. So a couple of difficulties. First of all, there's only 5 cards in the strategy activation deck, and you pull 2 per turn, and one of them actually tells you to pull another one. So you're cycling through this deck over and over and over. So you're going to learn it pretty fast, and I just found that a little bit annoying to manage overall. And also, because the activations are so simple, it becomes a puzzle. You generally know what the bot is going to give you, so you can set your traps and lure the bot with its dumb moves into what you're doing. So it becomes more of a puzzle to solve as opposed to this grand adventure, which we're co-op gamers. We love puzzles to solve, but usually in a smaller package. With these big sprawling adventures, we kind of want that bigger feeling. What I will say, though, is that even though the bot is dumb, it is suitably strong. If you're not paying attention, it will wipe you out, so at least there's some challenge there. My number 3, a clear pro, which is the upgrade system. So on the player side, you are going to start with simple characters. If you are an experienced gamer, you might be a little bit underwhelmed by the choices, but for new gamers or people who are casual in their approach, then it's enough to kind of get you satisfied. But for those who want to last it out, get to the later parts of the game, and for newer gamers to kind of grow into their character, there is the upgrades. So then there will be various triggers that you'll get to the green, the yellow, and the red upgrade. And they're double-sided, these cards, and it's usually a choice of like offense or defense or healing or whatever kind of thing. You get them, and now you can power them up, and now you have all these options on your turn. By the end, there's usually a thematic pop, at least for the main characters, Skeletor, etc. Panther, look at that model, looks great. That is for the mini and for the solo co-op. For the one, the upgrade system is cool as well. You have your characters that you're going to be controlling simplified versions because you're controlling them all. And this dashboard, which gives you powers, and you'd use those as the strategy activation activates. And as the players upgrade, you upgrade as well. As the one player, you get more powerful versions of them. Once again, the game giving you a chance to kind of grow into it as it goes on. Very well done. And so my number 2, which is an even bigger pro, is the interplay between the heroes and the villains, both outside the game and within the context of the game. First of all, outside the game, when you're picking factions, who's the one, who's the many, the one can pick either if they want to play the heroes or the villains. It's easy to exchange. So then if I don't want to play the villain as the player character, let's go ahead and make a flip. So then right now, Evil Lyn will head over to the evil side, and Man-at-Arms will be on the good side. Of course, we couldn't have mixed heroes and villains, but at the very least, you can exchange them. And so now I have the good guys facing off against the collective bad guy. That flip is easy. Most of the scenarios accommodate that switch. In addition, as you're playing within the game mechanisms, there is a mechanism called the balance of power. So as heroes gain energy, and there's lots of ways for them to do that, they spend their energy on skills. It goes towards the one and the one versus many, the controller character, and they can assign the energy to different skills. So if they want to summon a lot of minions, or if they want to empower the attacks of the basic characters, they can. And it gives the players an opportunity to think twice. Do I really need to use that power? Because that would increase the power of the opponent. That's a really cool back and forth. Why is it called the balance of power when the balance only goes one way? I have no idea. Terrible name, but very cool mechanism. And so my number 1 is not going to come as any surprise whatsoever. It is the pure unadulterated fun for its intended audience. This one is not meant to be a mechanically rich experience like a Gloomhaven or an Oathsworn. And I feel even a game like Massive Darkness 2 has more mechanically to offer if you're inclined that way. However, this one lands squarely in a zombicide style game where there's light mechanisms for people to get into. A lot relies on the dice resolution. You got these beautiful custom dice, including the Castle Grayskull face, which is pretty cool. All that is going to open up fun for those who are into cartoons, into big melees, and especially if you are into the He-Man IP, both past and present. So much is in there.
Why are you getting in my way? I will be a benevolent tyrant of the universe if you just let me be and conquer the world.
I don't think you'll be very benevolent at all, Skeletor. To arms! I have the power!
I don't, oh no, I'm defeated again!
You get the idea. So I'm going to be open and honest with people. I'm kind of the target audience for this one. He-Man, I was born in 1977, so I was a child at the exact right time for the 80s cartoon, and kept up with the IP moving forward as it reiterated. I love it, and CMON always does a great job with their IP integration. This one is no different. There's so much for someone like me who remembers the cartoon fondly to enjoy. Mechanism-wise, the one versus many is clearly the strongest part. It was built from the ground up as a one versus many game. For me, I like being the one. I can take on that extra cognitive load, and for the many, it's not that difficult to run like an individual character. So people who are more casual, there's a lot of people that can kind of come into this, chuck their dice, have fun, Zombicide style, as I said, and that's probably the best experience of the game in my opinion. This is the One Stop Co-op Shop, so I want to make specific mention of the solo and co-op. Is this worth it for you as a gamer of that ilk? And I made my comments about the AI. That point number 4 is really specific to solo and co-op, and you hopefully I've showed enough that you can make the decision for yourself whether that AI provides enough punch and strategic depth in order to satisfy you as a gamer. In addition, I do need to mention this. This is the scenario book. This is the 20 scenarios that are part of the base game. 4 of them, 1, 2 on the top, 1, 2 on the bottom, are eligible for AI play, which is a solo co-op. You get more in the expansions. That could be a little bit difficult. So are you going to be happy playing with the same 1 or 2 scenarios over and over again? Are you going to be happy, maybe even just kind of adjusting, what's there? I'm going to leave that for you, the solo co-op audience, to decide for yourselves. This is Jace with the One Stop Co-op Shop, reminding you they will see you at the next stop.